But that's the incendiary argument. There's another argument that when you look inside some of those states, they hadn't gone for a Democrat anyway in the general election.
But these are by and large Democrats voting. I mean, there are some Rush Limbaugh-inspired Republicans getting there to gum up the
But
gears.
just as much, wouldn't you say that just as much as the campaign has changed in the past year,
yes,
it will change again by the fall?
Of course it will.
There will be so many influences and forces.
There's no doubt. If you think about the psychology of this, I think it's interesting. A lot of these, in the last 14 contests, those all have taken place since we knew in the press and announced pretty vocally, since we in the press love Obama. I mean, we're quiveringly in love with him. We announced that he was the nominee. Oh, we do.
It does not come across
Oh, no, but it's not
way.
conventional love. It's the kind of love you have to be a ninth grade boy to understand. It's a red hot love, okay?
See, you think that in your business you have been softer on Obama and harder on Hillary?
Oh, are you kidding?
All that love you've been giving her?
I actually treat her with respect because I'm not emotionally involved in any of this.
And what's Pat Buchanan and Rush Limbaugh? And
Buchanan likes Hillary.
I'm saying.
It's weird. Okay. Yeah. I don't understand. I don't want to judge other people's opinions.
I've always wondered what your motives are when y'all are loving her so much.
Well, in my case, my motives are just a pure and honest reaction to watching someone.
To wanting her on the ticket?
But no, I don't. Look, I'm probably voting for Ron Paul anyway, so it's not like I'm not caught up in this emotionally.
Is that an endorsement?
Oh, I've endorsed before.
Oh, you have endorsed always Ron Paul? Oh, okay.
I voted for him in '88. I'll probably throw in my vote again.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever voted for someone who's won. But anyway, look, here's my point. You had, in 9 of the last 14 contests, Democrats who knew Hillary was going to lose vote for her anyway. Now, one thing we know about Americans, they don't like to vote for the loser. They vote for the winner.
Yeah,
that's why the inevitability strategy is so popular. I'm going to win anyway, vote for me, and people do.
Yeah.
So the reverse of that is remarkable. You're voting for someone you know is going to lose. You're throwing your vote away. It takes a powerful emotional impulse to get someone to do that, and I believe that's an anti-Obama vote out there. I think it's real.
You know what else is interesting is that at the beginning of the primary season, there were an awful lot of people, Democrats, who you would talk to, and they would say, well, I'm voting for Hillary because I want Bill back in the White House.
Right.
And now, all these months
Fewer
later,
of those.
they're like, how do we keep him out? What happened? Was it always there?
There were two things going on. That's a great question, and that's another story that we haven't had time to unpack and really marinate in and savor. I will. Okay.
Right,
there are two things going on. One, a lot of people forgot just how effervescent and dramatic the Clinton show is. Basically, you just kind of forgot that when the circus comes to town,
there's drama.
You can't avert your eyes, totally, and it's not always attractive. The second thing that's going on, especially in like my neighborhood in Northwest DC and sort of enclaves of basically rich white liberals, there was a lot of latent hostility toward the Clintons that was unexpressed for years.
In this town.
In this town, particularly here because we live here.
Yeah, and they know them.
But also in our counterpart in different places, in Cambridge, Mass, or Madison, Wisconsin, or whatever.
Where they were known off camera.
Yes. They didn't like, a lot of liberals, a lot of people I know, some of my friends, really didn't like the Clintons, but they didn't want to say so. Because saying so would be putting yourself on the same side as Ken Starr and Newt Gingrich and all those boogeymen on the right. You didn't want to be on their team, so you just shut up and took it.
Well, and maybe in the line of fire when the scores got set.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, there's a real option. And the second Obama emerged as a viable candidate, not just a boutique candidate, but as a guy who really could get the nomination to be president, people said, you know what? I've been putting up with this crap for many years. No more. I'm on Team Obama.
I have
an
option. Well, you felt it.
Didn't you feel it?
I mean, I felt it. It was tangible in this city after Iowa.
Yeah.
It happened that early.
Totally.
That there was like, oh my God, I've got cover. I can move over here. But then there was the next wave or the next tier of people who weren't sure. But it still wasn't directed at Bill. They were still kind of like, Bill's my man, and I want to get Bill back in the White House. I don't know if it was South Carolina. It probably started with South Carolina, but at some point, it was just interesting the way it happened. She went up and he went down, which was a dynamic that you'd never seen in that marriage before.
No, it was inevitable. Bill Clinton is your summertime girlfriend, basically. Someone who is a lot more.
What to do with that.
I'll tell you. Someone who is a lot more appealing in memory than in reality.
And
do you know what I mean?
Well, to take that a little further and
Extend the metaphor. Let's get vulgar.
He, she may be changed with new partners.
Right. I knew you could do that. I don't want to go there myself.
You bring it out with mountain me, but as because see, people, for a lot of people, again, not the people maybe who live inside the Beltway, but for a lot of people, Bill Clinton was frozen in time back
Yes,
then.
exactly.
And they had not really been aware of his life in the intervening time. And as more of that emerged, there was concern about it.
Right.
I mean, the Vanity Fair piece by Todd Purdom is inflammatory and it's probably extreme, but there are many people who follow the Clintons who say it's not unfair or
he pulled
inaccurate.
punches in that piece. Yes.
He
I
pulled
think.
punches.
Definitely.
And but it sort of puts into one little package what most of the fear is, don't you think?
There's no question about it. And if you in fact had access to the pertinent financial records, I think you could have written, and nobody does.
Is it true that if
Write a
Hillary,
longer piece.
and I don't know if you know the answer to this, but you probably do better than I do, if Hillary were to be Obama's vice presidential partner, would Clinton have to reveal who the donors are to the library?
Oh, I suspect.
I mean, would it be somehow legally required, or would it just be ethically required?
As the only non-lawyer in Washington, I don't know the legal answer
yeah.
to that. But
the punditry would beat them to
sure,
death.
we would demand it. I mean, look, it would be, I'm not lying, it would be great fodder for us. I mean,
By not
Bill Clinton's
revealing-
talk show in
by
a
not-
can. Open them up, there's
By
a show.
not revealing these names, doesn't it somehow make them seem more important than maybe, could it be anticlimactic?
Well,
or
yes.
You think,
I mean, this is, okay, again, whenever one deals with the Clintons, there is the temptation to psychoanalyze. You almost can't control yourself. But describe for me what you believe the psychology behind the following is. Hillary's tax returns, she doesn't release them. She's under enormous pressure at the debates, town hall forums. Where are your tax returns? Well, I'm going to release them at an appropriate time. So you just know, because she's not releasing them, that it must be appalling. She's taking money directly from Satan, okay? She must be. She releases them after taking all this crap for not releasing them, and they contain, what? Let's see, nothing. Oh, they're really rich. Okay, that's it.
Sort of a so what.
Exactly.
And I wonder.
She hurt herself by not being open. It's bizarre.
Well, it's there's. I certainly don't have.
But don't you think that's striking?
Well, we all have friends who are like this too, but it's.
They have nothing to hide, but they hide it anyway.
Yeah, why don't you just do it? I mean, you're the one in this game. You decided you wanted to play this
Of
sport.
course.
This is the way the sport's
So
played.
weird. So weird.
But some people, but that's another interesting thing about the Clintons, is you always get the feeling that they are within a bubble that has two sides to it. It's the one side of their coterie who play to the good Clintons, and then it's the other side of their coterie that play to the bad Clintons, and that this is just always going on. What I'm curious about is which team do you think will stay on the payroll, even though they're, quote, unpaid consultants, as she goes forward to the convention?
Well, he'll, I think, continue to recruit heavily from the dark side, because at this point.
So you think they'll go into the convention with some kind of insurgent movement that will be built around
I'm
the
sorry.
edge
I was thinking in different terms. Politically, no. They're not stupid. I mean, at all.
I'm not calling that stupid.
No. Here's one thing they get, because he is especially a student of history. They understand that there are no second chances in the Democratic Party. You just look at the last 50 years.
You mean there is no 2012?
There really isn't. Okay. On the Republican side, you can blow it. You can just eat it. You can be Barry Goldwater and lose everything, and you're still revered. You can Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon. These are people who came back after defeats and were revered by their party and held up as heroes. By contrast, Mike Dukakis, is he around? No. Mm-hmm. Poor John Kerry, who lost to an incumbent president during war. Nobody's ever beaten an incumbent president during war. He loses, and Democrats in Washington blame who? Him. Yeah. They blame John Kerry. I'm not defending John Kerry, but I'm just trying to be fair here. It's not shocking he lost. Just because he lost doesn't mean he's a bad person, and yet you talk to Democrats in D.C. and you think he's evil. So once she loses this for good, she can't come back.
Are you, you've already declared for Ron Paul. Are you a Republican? Do you have a party?
No, I mean, I am.
On your little voter card, what does it say?
Oh, well, I live in D.C., so I'm a registered Democrat, so I can vote in the mayor's race. But I really disapprove of the Democratic Party. I think
You're
it's
a
really
registered
corrupt.
Democrat. You're going to vote for
Oh,
Ron
I'm not
Paul,
pro-Democrat, trust me.
But there were rumors that you would run for the presidency as a libertarian that were quickly denied.
Well, no one ever runs for the presidency as a libertarian.
What,
One goes on an extended bus trip as the libertarian
was
candidate.
anybody